Hello, everyone. Hello, Gabriel. How are you? Good? Hello, everyone. Hello, Gabriel. How are you? Good? All right, let's just wait a few more minutes for some other people to join us. Hello, Janice. And then we will get started. All right, let's just wait a few more. Hello, Pedro. Hello, Natalie. Nathalia, sorry. I think I said your name wrong. Hello, Josie. Hello, Julio. All right, so let's give everybody a few more minutes to join, maybe 1-2 more minutes, and then we'll get started, okay? Hello, Sophia. Let me just open the window here. It's a little bit hot all the time. All right. Hello, Carol. Hello. All right, everyone. So let us get started. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, my name is Janetta. I am an American who is currently living abroad here in Brazil. And I work teaching English as a second language in both a school here in Caratinga at Seed Idiomas in Caratinga, as well as online, doing classes such as these. Hello, Daniel. Welcome. So tonight what we're going to be talking about is we're going to be talking about the difference about when we should be using gerunds versus infinitives. Okay. If you have any questions during the class, please comment in the comment chat box. Last class we had a really nice class because everybody participated a lot and gave a lot of comments and feedback and things like that when I asked some open-ended questions. So please continue to do that because it helps to make our class more interactive and more fun. All right, so let's get started here. All right, so as we talked about, what we're going to be talking about today is changing the meaning when using infinitives versus gerunds, okay? So let's look here, some difficulties with infinitives and gerunds. So some verbs only go with the infinitive or only go with the gerund, where others can go with either one. So for this reason, it can be really difficult for students to understand and to really decide which is best to use in a phrase, whether it's the infinitive, gerund, or maybe it can be either one. Another reason why people often have difficulties using infinitives and gerunds is when choosing the infinitive or gerund, sometimes it will change the meaning of the sentence. So today we're going to focus on what are some common verbs that we can use with only the infinitive, some common verbs that we can use with only the gerund, some common verbs that we can use with either and it doesn't change the meaning, or some common verbs that we can use with either, but if we do, it changes the meaning of the phrase. And we'll go into those in a little bit more detail, okay? If you have any difficulty understanding my pace in terms of the pace in which I'm speaking, feel free to comment and I'll slow down a little bit, okay? All right, so the best way to learn which verbs we should use in the infinitive, the gerund, or both is to really look at the context of the phrase when you're reading. All right, so either the context of the phrase, maybe you'll have to look at, if you're reading a paragraph or a text, you'll have to look at the phrases before or after to really help you to better understand the context, because then it will help you to really understand which you should be using, whether it's the infinitive, gerund, or maybe you could use either one and it doesn't make a difference. All right. Another way you can do is to always consult some grammar references. For example, looking online, talking to your English professors, things like this. All right, so let's look here. Common verbs followed by the gerund. Now, when I say gerund, what does this mean? It's a verb with what at the end? Comment in the box, let's see. What is a gerund? It's a verb with what at the end of it? During the presentation, you might see me looking over to my left, and it's just to see the chat box, okay? So that we can have better conversation. So let's see here. What exactly is a gerund? What does it have at the end? Do you know? What does it have at the end of the verb? Hello, Daniela. Welcome. All right. Very good. So some people are chiming in and they're saying ing. Very good. Perfect. So anytime we have what we call is a gerund, it's your verb in the base with ing at the end. So here we have common verbs that are followed by a gerund. For example, admit, advise, consider, discuss, dislike, dread, enjoy, finish, mind, practice, recommend, and suggest. All right, so these are all common verbs that we always use followed by a gerund, so verb with ing. For example, I can say that I enjoy playing the piano. All right, this is something that I learned to do when I was a child and something that I still enjoy today. Now, I want you to tell me in the chat box, what are some things that you enjoy doing? Be sure to use the gerund with your verb after enjoy. So let's see, what are some things that you enjoy doing? All right, let's see. All right. Good job. So here we have Carol. Carol says that she enjoying learning English. Good. Now remember, when we are using these verbs are not in the gerund form, okay? It's the verb normal, but then the verb after goes in the gerund form. For example, in Carol's example, she would say, I enjoy learning, verb with ing, English. All right. Same thing. Natalia said, I enjoy working out. So I enjoy working, verb with ing, out. Stephanie, I enjoy watching movies. Very good. Excellent. Daniel, I enjoy playing the ukulele. So cool. I wish I knew how to play the ukulele. Seems like a nice little instrument. Sophia, I enjoy watching series. Yes, me too. It's good to quarantine, right? You can relax, watch a lot of series, catch up on some things. All right, good job, guys. Now, let's look at another example here. So, some common verbs that are followed by an infinitive. Now, when I say infinitive, what does this mean? How does my verb look? What do I need before my verb in the infinitive? What word do I need before the verb in the infinitive? Any ideas? To. Very good. Perfect. So, anytime we talk about a verb in the infinitive, it's always to plus our verb. Now, here are some common verbs followed by an infinitive. For example, agree, appear, choose, decide, expect, fail, hope, learn, need, refuse, seem, wait, want. All right. So, for example, I can say that I need to study Portuguese so that I can become more fluent and be able to speak better. All right. So I need to study Portuguese. So we see we have need, and then after we have my verb to study. All right. So my verb study, we need to before. Now I want you to tell me, what is something that you need to do? Let's see in your comments. So let's make some comments about something that you need to do. For example, I need to give my dogs a bath because they're very dirty because they were running around outside and it was raining the other day. Sophia says, I need to improve my vocabulary. Very good. Vocabulary is always a difficult one in English, so it's good to have this as a goal. I need to become more fluent, we can say. Very good. So Daniel, you can say, I need to improve my fluency, or I need to become more fluent with T at the end. Hello, Danielle, welcome. Josie says, I need to take a vacation. Ah, Josie, You're still working during this time, right? That's why no vacation for you during quarantine. I need to buy a new English book. All right, Carol, good. Want to study a little bit more. Investing in a new book is a good idea. All right, excellent. Good comments, guys. All right, now let's look here. We can have some verbs that can be followed either by the gerund or the infinitive. And usually these verbs do not change the meaning of the verb or the context of the phrase. Okay? So, for example, begin, continue, hate, like, love, prefer, start. So all of these verbs can be followed either by the gerund or the infinitive, but they usually do not change the context of the phrase. All right? For example, I can say that I love eating out at restaurants. Or I can say I love to eat out at restaurants. Either one is okay, and it doesn't change the meaning of the phrase, okay? So I can say I love eating ice cream, or I love to eat ice cream. Both are the same. Now, I want you to tell me, what is something that you love doing? Or something that you love to do? You can use either the gerund or the infinitive in your comments. So let's see here. What is something that you love doing or something that you love to do? So use love in a phrase with either the gerund or the infinitive. And let's see some comments here. Cara, I loving workout. Very good. Remember, we want to keep these verbs that we see on this page. Begin, continue, hate, like, love, prefer, start. We want to keep them in the base, all right? And then the verb after goes with ing or to. So, for example, I can say, I love to work out, or I love working out, all right? But that's really great, Carol, and impressive. I can say I don't love to do the same thing, but I need to get that ambition and start to love working out as well. Josie loves to watch Supernatural. Yes, that was always a classic series. I used to love to watch that a lot too. Sophia, I love hanging out with friends. Yes, especially now, right? When we're in quarantine, we realize how much we really miss those times that we have together. I love watching series, or I love to watch series. Very good. Excellent. Dania, I love working with the environment. Perfect. Very good. Excellent. All right. Good job. Now, let's look here. So, we just saw some verbs that we can use the gerund or the infinitive, and it doesn't change the meaning of the text. All right? It doesn't change the context. But now, let's look here at some verbs that we can use followed by the gerund or the infinitive. But they change the context, all right? They change the meaning of the phrase. So, depending upon if we use the gerund, the phrase can mean one thing. Or if we use the infinitive, the phrase can mean something entirely different. All right? So we're going to look into these 5 in a little bit more detail. All right, so let's look here at these common verbs. So these verbs are stop, regret, remember, forget, and go on. All right, so with these verbs, if we use the gerund, it would have one meaning. But if we use the infinitive, it would have a completely different meaning. All right, so we're going to look into these 5 verbs in a little bit more detail to see how the meanings change based on if we're using the gerund or the infinitive. Giovanna says, I prefer singing than dance. Very good. Excellent, Giovanna. I'm the opposite. I prefer dancing rather than singing. But if you have a good voice, then all the power to you. Me, I only sing in the shower, and even then my dogs don't like to listen. All right, so let's look here. Stop. All right, so the first verb we're going to look at is stop. Now, let's look here at the first example. I have stopped buying coffee. It's too expensive. All right. I have stopped buying coffee. It's too expensive. Now, we can see that here in the first example, I'm using my gerund. All right. So I have stopped as my verb, and then after I have buying, which is my gerund. Now, in the second example, I stopped to buy a coffee on my way into work this morning. I stopped to buy a coffee on the way into work this morning. So in the second example, we have stop as our verb, and then after we don't have the gerund, but we have the infinitive to buy. Now, looking at these examples, what do you guys see is the difference? I have stopped buying coffee and I stopped to buy a coffee. What's the difference between these two? What do you guys think? Let's see some comments here. Any ideas? What would be the difference between these two phrases? Let's look at the first one. I've stopped buying coffee. So Giovanna says in the first sentence, the person doesn't want to buy coffee anymore. Exactly. Perfect. So in the first example, when we're using with the gerund, I have stopped buying coffee, we can see that she stops the verb in the gerund form. So she stops buying, whatever it is, buying coffee in this example. All right, good. Now, what about if I say the next thing? The next phrase. I stopped to buy a coffee. Very good. But in the second phrase, Giovanna said that in the second phrase, during the morning, the person stopped in a coffee house and bought a coffee. Exactly. So, in the second example, the person is stopping an action in order to continue or do the infinitive. So, for example, I stopped walking to buy a coffee. So they stopped something and to do whatever the action was in the infinitive. Carol says in the first, the person doesn't buy anymore. In the second, the person doesn't buy the coffee just in the morning. So let's look here. When we use stop, when it's followed by a gerund, the verb in the gerund form stops. All right. So, for example, I stop talking to you. The action stops. All right. So my talking stops. All right? But if we look at the other example, followed by the infinitive, we stop something in order to do the verb in the infinitive. All right, now let's see. I want you to make an example using stop. What is something that you need to stop doing? Using the gerund. What is something you need to stop doing? Or you can tell me what is something that you have stopped doing. For example, I have stopped eating chocolate until Easter. I'm trying to cut back a little bit. What is something that you have stopped? Let's see some comments here. I have to stop eating so much. Very good. I need to stop eating candy. I stop eating bread a lot. Very good. Excellent. All right, good job. Now let's look at the other example. Can you use stop with an infinitive? So remember that when we use the infinitive, we stop something else in order to do the verb in the infinitive. Natalia, I've stopped eating hamburgers. Very good. I do love hamburgers. Daniel, I stopped smoking weed. All right, very good. All right, what about using with the infinitive? What is something you stopped? For example, I was driving to work and I stopped to change my tire because it was flat. All right, I was driving to work and I stopped to change my tire because it was flat. I stopped to help my mom during lunch. Very good. Excellent. Good example, Giovanna. So I stopped to help my mom during lunch. So maybe Giovanna was doing her work and then she stopped to continue the next action, which was to help her mother during lunch. Excellent. Josie, I stopped to ride my bike. Good. So maybe Josie was, let's say, going to work and then she stopped to ride her bike because she realized she didn't have to go to work anymore. All right, very good. Excellent. I stopped to save money. Have to live life on the edge, right, Daniel? I stopped to go to college because of coronavirus. Good example, Julia. Excellent. Good example. I was working and stopped to have lunch. Very good. Perfect. So you guys understand the difference between using with I stop with gerund versus stop with infinitive and how they're very different with the meanings of the context. Very good. All right, let's look here. I wish life had a rewind button. I want you to tell me, do you agree with this phrase? Do you wish life had a rewind button? so that you can go back in time, maybe change a couple things, and then continue. What do you guys think of this phrase? Do you agree? Let's see some comments here. I wish life had a rewind button. What do you guys think? Yes, please. Josie's ready to go back. Josie. So you would go back a little bit, maybe change some things, see how things would be a little bit different. What else, guys? Anybody else? What do you think? I wish life had a rewind button. Do you agree or disagree with this? No, let the past stay in the past. That's what I think, Daniel, right? Everything happens for a reason. Let the past stay in the past and try to move forward. Carol, only for some situations. All right, very good, right? Not everything's bad that happens, so maybe only a couple things you want to tweak. Very good. All right, so now let's talk about the verb regret. All right. Giovanna says it would be great if we could go back to the past and do other things one more time. Very good. Excellent. All right, so let's look here. Let's talk about regret. Now, I can say, for example, you will regret not finishing college. So you will regret not finishing college. Now here in my first example, you will regret not finishing college. We see we have regret, and then we have finishing, which is my verb in the gerund form. Now, when I say you will regret not finishing college, does this mean that we feel sorry about something that happened in the past, or we will feel sorry about something? Yes or no? Let me know what you guys think. So, when I say you will regret not finishing college, we can use it to say that you're going to feel sorry about something in the past. All right? Now, we can also say, for example, we regret to inform you that you did not get the job. So imagine that I applied for a job and I was really, really excited because a new job, new salary, new challenges. It's very good and exciting. All right. Now, if I say, we regret to inform you. So we have regret, and then we have to inform, which is the infinitive in this example. Now, when we use this with the infinitive, to inform, do you think that we use this when we're going to give bad news or good news? Regret with the infinitive. Do we use it to give bad news or good news? What do you guys think? So, we use regret with the infinitive when we are going to give somebody bad news. All right. Good job, guys. Now, let's look here. So, we can use regret followed by the gerund when you feel sorry about something you did or didn't do in the past. All right? Or we can use regret with the infinitive when you regret something you are about to say. All right? We often use this in formal written English with verbs such as tell, say, or inform. All right? So when you regret something you are about to say. Now, let's see here. I want you guys to tell me, what is something that you regret using the gerund form? So something that you feel sorry about that you did or didn't do in the past. For example, I regret not learning more Portuguese before I moved to Brazil. Because when I came to Brazil, it was very, very difficult for me. I felt very overwhelmed because I didn't know really any of the language before I arrived here. All right, so I regret not learning Portuguese before I moved to Brazil. What is something that you regret? It can be positive or negative. Let's see some comments here. Let's see. Giovanna says, I regret not traveling to the beach when I had the opportunity last month. Very good. Excellent. Good example, Giovanna. Carol, I regret not saving more money. Yes, I think this is always something that people regret, right? When you're in the moment, you find the need to spend the money, but then after, you wish you had it. Good. I regret not traveling abroad in the world. All right, Josie, but maybe one day you'll get the opportunity, so positive thoughts for you. All right, good job. Excellent, guys. And remember, we use regret with the infinitive when we want to talk about, when we regret something that we are about to say. So with the infinitive, it's not in the past, but rather in the future, okay? Very good. All right, Daniel. So Daniel says, I regret not had lived abroad yet. Very good. So Daniel, we can say, I regret not living, because we want to put live with the gerund form. So I regret not living abroad yet. But doesn't mean you won't get the chance yet. All right? Maybe you won't get the chance in the future. Maybe you will. All right. So now let's look here. Remember and forget. So let's look here at remember and forget and how these two we can use either in the infinitive or the gerund and how they change the context of the phrase. So let's look at the first example, remember. I still remember being nervous on my first day of work. Or we can say, now, in my first example, I still remember being nervous on my first day of work. So here we have being, which is my verb with the gerund form. All right. In the second example, remember to call your mother tonight. Maybe your parents are at home. They want to hear from you, hear how you're doing. So remember to call your parents tonight. All right. Now, we can also use forget. I will never forget seeing Paris for the first time. So when I was in high school, my high school went on a trip to Europe. and I went to Paris, and I will never forget seeing Paris for the first time. It was such a magical country. So many lights, and everybody was speaking French, and it was so like a romantic atmosphere and everything like this. So it's something that I will never forget seeing. Now, here we have seeing is my gerund form, all right? Or I can say, I forgot to bring my lunch today, all right? I forgot to bring my lunch today. So here we have to bring, which is the infinitive. Now let's look here. When we use it with the gerund, we use it when either you forgot or remember something you have to do. All right. So either you forgot or remember something you have done. All right. Sorry, I misspoke. I said to do, but what you have done. All right, because it's in the past. Now, the infinitive we use when there is something you need to do. And remember that you forgot to do it. All right. So, let's see here. I want you to tell me, what is something that you forgot to do using the gerund? Something you forgot to do using the gerund. What do you guys think? Let's see some comments. Or it can be or you can also use remember. So I forgot to do my homework. Good. All right. So that's a good example using the infinitive. So it's something that you needed to do, but you forgot to do it. Excellent. What else is something you guys forgot? Or a memory that you will never forget. So, Giovanna, I forgot turning off the lights this morning. So in this example, we would say, I forgot to turn off the lights this morning, using the infinitive, because it's something that you needed to do, but you didn't remember. All right? So we would say, I forgot to turn off the lights this morning. Now, I want you guys to tell me, what is something that you will never forget? What's a special memory in your life that you will never forget? For example, I will never forget my wedding day. It was very special. All of my friends and family were there. And it was one of the most precious memories in my life. So I will never forget. Or I would say, actually. So I can say, I will never forget my wedding day. But this actually isn't using the gerund. So I can say, I will never forget getting married. Carol, I'll never forget ride a bike. Good. So I can say, I'll never forget riding a bike for the first time without my training wheels, for example. Very good. Good, Carol. I'll never forget my first volleyball game. Good. Or we can say, I'll never forget playing volleyball for the first time in my first game. Good. Good job, guys. All right. Let's look at another one. Go on. So, we can use go on, for example. we can say, she went on talking about her family for hours. She didn't stop. All right, for example, if I'm walking down the street here in my village where I live, these people love to talk so much, especially the little old women, right? You're walking down the street in the morning to get your bread from the bakery, and then they stop you on the street. And they just go on and go on and go on and go on and go on, and they tell you all about their life and what they're doing and what their children are doing and what their grandchildren are doing, right? So she went on talking about her family for hours. So here in this first example, when I say she went on talking, so in the first example is the activity in the gerund continues, all right? So she continued to talk and to talk and to talk and to talk and to talk about her family for a long time, all right? In the second example, after talking about her family, she went on to tell a joke. So she was doing something first, and then she went on, she continued to tell a joke. So when we use it with the gerund, the activity in the gerund continues, all right? But when we use it with the infinitive, one action stops or finishes and another action begins again, all right? So in this example, it's continuing the next process, all right, the next part of the process, the next stage. All right, good job, guys. So, do you have any questions about today's material? It's a little bit more difficult, all right? And it's definitely something that will take time to practice and to master in terms of infinitives and gerunds. All right, I'm going to send to you guys the link in the chat box. If you're not a part of our Telegram group yet, I'm going to send for you the link for our Telegram group. And then after tonight's class, I'm going to send you some homework to help you to practice more, okay? To help you to see which you should use, either the infinitive or the gerund form of the verb, all right? Also, our next class is going to be next Tuesday, all right? So same time, same place. I hope to see you again next Tuesday for our next class. And also this evening, if you are available at 8 o'clock, so in about 10 minutes, we are going to be live on Instagram at Seed Idiomas. And we're going to have one of our coordinators from Drama Lavage Cahier, as well as Nikki, who is a professor at Drama Lavage, but she's originally from Hungary, so she's a Hungarian teacher. And they're going to be talking about movies and series. So I know a lot of you commented here saying that you enjoy watching movies and series. So it would be an excellent conversation for you guys to participate in on our Instagram. All right, so we hope to see you all then. Let me send you the link here 1 minute for our Telegram group so that you can enroll yourself if you're not enrolled already. Let's see here, 1 minute. All right, so I just sent the link for the Telegram. So if you're not a member of our Telegram group yet, click on the link and you can content. All right, guys, thank you all for a class. Great job participating, and we'll see you next time. Have a good night. Bye-bye.